Welcome to the very first episode of Unfiltered Beertales. I am your host, Quentin, and today we are going to talk about a very important part of my life. The day that my life sort of began, to be truthfully honest with you. But furthermore, before we get started, let's just grab our favorite beverage. I got here myself my favorite beverage, which is just a beer. So let's get this show on the road, shall we? Oh, yeah, okay. Alright, so I've thought of many different ways of starting this episode, but I just couldn't quite figure out the best way to really do it. So you know what? Fuck it. I'm just going to start off with going on with the day that I view that my adult life truly had started, which was back in, what was it? It was March of 2019. I was working at this dead-end job in a factory with, shit pay, shit benefits. The hours were crazy. It was third shift. It was 11 at night to 7 in the morning, Monday through Friday. But what changed my life, in fact, was looking for a new job, and I saw a listing for a light-duty tow truck operator at a company that's in the area of where I live. And I got to thinking with more so on this episode, is that the biggest lie, not even a white lie, I wouldn't even consider it a white lie, because white lies are more of like hiding the truth and more of like for sake of people's feelings and everything like that. But what I view as an actual lie is that typical question in every job interview that they go, do you have a reliable vehicle? Well, in this towing job that I was applying for with the interview, they had asked me that, and of course, I told them that I did. Now, the thing is, my vehicle was not reliable in the sense of any way, shape, or form. It was a 2000 Ford Focus, automatic, and I had bought it for a couple $100 and fixed it up as, just to get passed for inspection. Nothing too fancy. Well, it got to the point that the brake stopped working, so I had to use the parking brake to use as actual brakes. Well, then that blew out, so I didn't have brakes for quite some time. Then it got to the point where the transmission started to act up, so I didn't have park. Now, mind you, this is an automatic vehicle. There's no park. I had no brake, no parking brake. So whenever I had to stop anywhere, I had to coast into a spot and try to find a divot to put my front tires into, because it was front wheel drive, so it wouldn't roll away or anything like that. Or I would have to block the front tires, which was the easiest way to, block it so that way the car wouldn't roll away of getting out of the vehicle. So I carried 2 blocks of wood with me. And then it got to the point where the ignition wasn't working. The key got stuck in it, and then I got the key out, but then I couldn't use the ignition itself. It was almost like the ignition just completely broke. So took apart the ignition setup underneath the dash and wired it up to figure out a way to just start it with freaking a bottle opener and a Swiss Army knife. I kid you not. But anyway, further back into the day that my whole adult life changed was with this job interview. It was early in the morning and I was getting done with my shift at my previous job, and I had informed them that I wouldn't have time to travel home and get dressed and everything and actually look proper. So I made sure to have my deodorant with me, some cologne, a clean sweatshirt, a clean hat, and some flushable wipes, baby wipes, whatever you want to call them, wet ones, whatever, just to kind of give myself like a horse bath basically before I went into this job interview, so that way I looked somewhat presentable. And I even had a shitload of gum, and I had mouthwash in my car just so that way I could quickly like freshen my breath after working all night. And so that way I was somewhat presentable, but not overly presentable because of what I had for my situation. But anyway, when I got there, I was very nervous and everything, and I had no idea what was going on. And I've never driven anything bigger than a sedan vehicle, your typical 4-door car. And they wanted me to operate this gigantic truck that seemed, first time ever looking at it, was like 100 feet long, 50 feet up in the air, which in reality they're not that big, but in comparison to what I've driven prior, it's what it felt like. And at this time, I also didn't really know what I wanted to do with my life. I mean, fuck, I still don't even know what the fuck I want to do for like a dream job, or like, oh, that's what I'm going to do for the rest of my life. This is my dream. Like, oh, yeah, still no fucking clue. So, when reading the description of the job when they had posted it, I was not really sure. But then once I got towards the end, when it said that they're willing to train the right candidate, and depending on, how the interview go, whatever, which most jobs are that way anyway, I was like, all right, cool. You know what? Being 19 years old, I want to be a man. I think I'm a man. I don't really fucking know. So fuck it. Why not? Let's try it. So as I get there, okay, I'm pulling up to this big building and everything. I have no idea what's going on. I just know to be there at a certain time. Well, anyway, this giant, huge mongrel looking fucker gets out of a giant tow truck and looks like he just came from some sort of job. I don't know. He came from towing something. I don't really know, because I don't know anything about this industry in this moment of time. But I mean, like, he is big, scary, burly looking. Like, he just looks so, like, angry, like as if somebody took his last pudding cup that he was savoring all day and, like, was hoping and looking forward to that. Like, that was the only silver lining of his day. And then when he got there, and it was gone. So, like, he was just instantly looked pissed off as could be. But, so I walk into the building, and it smells like fresh new tires, and I start to get my confidence back, because it brought back a memory of when I was a child, when my father used to work as a mechanic at one of the local dealerships, and I would always go in there as a kid with my mom and would have McDonald's for lunch or whatever with my dad, and I would just get that smell of fresh brand new tires. So my confidence started to go up a little bit. I felt more at ease and everything, until I start to walk in further, and I go up to the desk and I talk to someone who I had no idea who it was, and I was like, "Hi, I'm Quentin. I'm here for the job interview for the light duty tow operator position." He was like, "All right, let me go get the manager." So he went out back, which I was assuming was the shop of the place. That he was like, "Yep, the manager will be right out and everything. He'll grab you, and then he'll bring you up into the conference room for the interview with the owner and the shop manager here." I was like, okay. Well, so I just sit down on the couch and I wait. This huge mongrel looking fucker that I was like terrified of just seeing in the parking lot, come to find out he's the fucking towing manager, and now I am on the verge of shitting my fucking pants. So he grabs me, we go up into the conference room, and I walk in and I see the owner of the company, which he just instantly looks pissed off, like he doesn't want to be there, and that he's not at all happy to see me. Then I get a glimpse of the shop manager, who looks to be the same way. Like, they're already pissed off, they're annoyed, they're already, like, checking me out, looking at me, being like, yeah, okay, this fucking kid's gonna drive truck, yeah, alright, we'll see about that. So, I sit down, and then the fucking towing manager, he, out of all the seats in the room, has to sit right next to me, and fucking, nerves are shaking, I'm getting all anxious and everything. And then, of course, the interview process goes on, and they're talking to me, they're asking me the simple questions and everything else like that. And it gets to the vehicle part, which I told them, yeah, it's reliable. It gets me to A and B and everything. Which, with all of the issues that my vehicle did have at that time, only one time did it not get me to the yard so that way I can grab my tow truck, and that's because I hit a huge pothole in the road, and I broke the A-frame, which is part of what holds the front tire in place. So that was the one and only time that it ever fucked me out of not being able to get to a job. So I just want to make that clear that, yeah, I had all these issues and everything, but yet it was still fine to get me to all my calls and everything, and never missed one except for just that one, because, well, that one was out of my control. It wasn't like, anything out of the ordinary of like, oh, well, car's a piece of shit, it broke down on me. No, it was just the fact of this one particular part did snap on me because of a hole in the road. So, before the interview gets towards the end and everything, I notice that the owner and the shop manager are passing these love notes back and forth, and they're kind of making eye contact, doing like sign language between each other, like eye contact, like, the owner of the company's telling the shop manager, oh, you're going to steal third when they throw it this way, whatever, and then you're going to make a book for home plate, and then that's what's going to win the game, So, then they kicked me out of the room. All right, so I stand outside, whatever, and, I had to go up a staircase into, like, this loft type area is where the conference room was. So I'm standing on the staircase, and I'm thinking to myself, if I jump right now and land on the concrete floor, everything will be fine, right? Yeah, don't have to worry about nothing. Everything will be fine. I won't have to deal with any of this embarrassment or this fucking rejection of this job. So I'm waiting, I'm playing. Then I'm like, you know what? 5 minutes passed, and I'm thinking, you know what? Fuck it. I'm just gonna leave. You know what? I'm just gonna leave. So I'm going back and forth between my head and everything, just like starting this first episode. I'm like, I can't do it. I can do it. I can't do it. I can do it. I can't do it. I don't know. What am I gonna do? I just don't know. So as I'm about ready on the verge of like, all right, I'm just gonna flip a fucking coin, and if I'm gonna go, I'm gonna do it now. Door flies open. Manager pokes his head out. All right, Quentin, come on back in. I'm like, oh, motherfucker. This ain't going to be well. So, I walk back in and I sit down. Silence in the room. I'm thinking, like, okay, should I try to come up with some sort of joke? I'm not really sure. Like, what should I really do? I'm sitting there. I'm thinking. I'm waiting. Then all of a sudden, the owner looks at me and he goes, when can you start, kid? So I explain, I still currently have a job and I'll put my 2 weeks in and they'll train me during the days before I go on call, working these 24/7 hours, all day, all night, being on call, weekend, basically 24/7, I shit you not. So figured that all out and everything, going to train me during the days, I was going to continue my job, work at night, so as soon as I get out of work at night, then I would go to training. So we're all happy and everything. We got to joking around and whatnot. And actually, there was a very valuable lesson that they had taught me. And again, being a kid, not fucking knowing anything, 19 years old. And, asking like, oh, what would you like to make? And I'm like, well, this is what I'm making now. So I'd like to make at least this. And they're like, okay, all right, we're going to rewind, start over. You, in an interview, you never say what you're currently making. You just provide an offer. And then you negotiate the offer and everything. And I was like, okay, well, that's a good tidbit and everything. When thinking at this point, I'm like, why would you tell me this when my plan is to stay here? Well, I only did it for 3 years, but it was damn good 3 years of my life. It just got to the point of the hours and not being able to see my family, not being able to do anything. Don't get me wrong. The people that I saved and helped and everything of getting off the edge of the road, recovering their vehicle from, on class 4 roads, on going out back to their camp roads in the winter, mud season, changing tires, unlocking their cars because they locked the keys inside, jump starting them, bringing the fuel because they ran out of fuel. Like, those were the best, wonderful parts of the job. But the drama, which you have drama in every single job that you have ever worked or will ever going to work, and no matter what, there's always going to be drama. But the feud that was unreasonable between the mechanics in the building and us tow truck drivers, that it was like so confusing and just like, what the fuck? What's even the point? We're all working for the same company. Yeah, there's different branches throughout the company in different locations, but we're still all owned by one guy. So it's not like, oh, well, we work for this and you guys are for that, but it's all still the same company. Our paychecks all came from the same company. And I never understood that fat part of it and everything. So that became a big part of it. And, yeah, hours did get better and everything, but it's not for everybody. And I wanted something new and different and, still young, trying to figure something out. And, if I could go back to it if I really wanted to, but I'm not really entirely sure of it. So we get everything all squared away. They gave me the job. So went downstairs, started filling out paperwork, all the taxes side of it and everything, give them my information, driver's license, social, all that good freaking boring adult crap that we all love to do, don't we? So here I am. At this point, I've been up for 24 hours. Now, mind you, I'm not used to this type of sleep schedule of any kind whatsoever, of being awake for these long periods of time. So I started falling asleep while filling out the paperwork, sitting next to the towing manager. And of course, first time ever really doing this on my own without any kind of help from any parents whatsoever, that I was asking him all these questions and I could tell I was getting annoyed. I was annoying him. So I started falling asleep and he was like, hey, Quinny, you can just go home and finish that paperwork and everything, and then when you come back tomorrow morning, you can drop it off and we'll start your training. I'm like, okay, yeah, not an issue. So, start to doze off. Got about like a half-hour drive to get home. That's about as far away as I live from the shop. And so, get in the car. I go to start it. Oh, speaking of starting it, another issue that car had. Whew, I tell you, when the park went out in the transmission, the shifting linkage, or just the transmission itself, I can't quite remember at this point. It was so long ago. But the shifter wouldn't go past reverse because, park, reverse, neutral, drive, 3, 2, 1 or low, whatever, however it's set up. But I didn't know what gear I was in unless the car was moving in that direction or not moving at all in neutral. So I'd have to fiddle with the shifter to try to line it up to get it into neutral to start it because there's no park. So I had to put it in neutral to start it. And another thing, there was no exhaust whatsoever. It came right off the manifold, right off the engine, came down underneath the cab, and I had the pipe bent out to be spitting out underneath behind the passenger front tire, so that way the exhaust just wasn't pouring into the cab of the car, and I wasn't, going to die from freaking the exhaust. So it was loud as shit. So you'd hear me go to start it, trying to figure out where it is. Okay, and then it'd be loud. Then I'm trying to shift into drive, and you just be, and then I would go, or it would get into reverse, and I'd be backing up, and it was obnoxious as shit, and it was a pain in the ass, and I felt so embarrassed. So I finally get it into drive, and I start taking off. So I get towards the edge of the driveway, about ready to turn onto the road to head home. Okay. I don't even pull out to the road. I open the door and I puke my guts out of the emotional roller coaster that was going on inside of me, of just like excitement, of worry, of dread, of thankfulness, of like, this is going to be a wonderful experience, a wonderful career. And I'm so thankful that they were giving me this chance to be able to do something this, well, what I was thinking, like, a man's job. Here I am being a kid, 19 years old, and being like, just working in some bum rubber boot factory, just being like, oh, okay, making rubber boots. Yeah, I'm going to drive truck. I'm going to pull cars out of ditches. I'm going to help people out, going to make their days better, and, But, so that incident happened. I puked my guts out, and I'm thinking, oh, shit, did they see this? Oh, God, I hope not. I hope not. I hope not. So I quickly close the door, grab a wet wipe, I can clean up my mouth and everything, and then I beat home. I go as fast as I can, and hopefully I don't get stopped. Get home. I tell my roommate at the time of, like, what happened and everything, because he asked me how the interview went, so I told him the truth and everything of what happened, and I told him about the puking part, and he fucking laughed, and he made fun of me for that part. But so took a shower, filled out the paperwork and everything, finished that all up, and then I went to bed, got up, and then I went into work for my previous jobs, working nights 11 to 7. And I went to my supervisor and I explained what was going on, and basically they were just like, all right, you're done. You already found a job. Okay, no need for you 2 weeks. I'm like, no, I will work my 2 weeks. Like, that's not the problem. I'm letting you know that I'm going to a new job and I will work my 2 weeks. And they were like, no, we don't care. You know what? You're done. If you ever want to come back, the door's always open. We'll find you a position, whatever. I'm like, okay. Mind you, I'd only been there for like, oh, good God, I think it was barely 2 months, maybe 3 at most. It was within my 90 days. I know that. So I was like, you want me to just finish my shift? Do you want me to go home now? He's up to you. I'm like, okay, 2 days is better than 1 day on a paycheck, I was thinking. So I was like, all right, well, I'll just finish tonight and that'll be it. So at the end of the night, I gave my supervisor they gave me a box cutting knife and an ID card so I could clock in and clock out and go in and out of the building, because security reasons, I guess, behind that. Which, who's going to steal rubber boots? But anyway, so then I go and start training, and I talk to the towing manager. Still scared of this fucking guy, big, burly, fucking full-grown beard, angry looking, just like he's about ready to kill me. Like, it looks like he's about ready to kill me. So I explained that situation to him, and he's like, huh, okay, well, that's shitty and all. Like, and I was like, yeah, because I was really hoping for the 2 paychecks, dude, you know, and then really help me to transition from one job to another that I would have, decent pay for the next 2 weeks. But they still offered me more than what I was making at the previous place, but double paycheck a week, that'd be pretty nice, wouldn't it? But nope, that didn't happen. So started training, and obvious the expression being thrown around is greenhorn, which basically means that, if you don't know what it means, is that rookie, noob, apprentice, you have no fucking clue what you're doing, and you're being trained or showed or whatever, taught this. And so for quite some time, I was just called the greenhorn. Well, as I got going and everything with the training, it was exciting. It was new, different, and I just started to feel more like important and of a man, really, because it was a man's job. Now, throughout the course of the time and everything, within the next few months, I became really close to the towing manager, and we established this wonderful friendship, brotherhood, that to this day I still talk to him. I hang out with him and his wife and his kids, and I view them as a family. Like, and to be honest with you, if it wasn't for him and his wife, my first winter towing, truthfully, I probably would have died from, just about anything, really. I mean, I wasn't really taking care of myself. I wasn't eating right. Like, my meal that I always ate because I just didn't have time to, like, make anything, was either gas station shit, drive-through shit, which most of the time I didn't even have time for drive-through shit, and my truck barely made it through the drive-through as it was. And when I told my manager, I was like, "Hey, did you know that my truck there, it goes to the drive-through?" He's like, "What? How'd you know that?" "Well, I tried it out the other day and it works just fine." He was like, "You didn't hit anything? You didn't break nothing?" I'm like, "No, it went through just fine." So that was a cool fact that he learned and everything, which I'm sure that he knew and was just pretending for the sake of me to entertain me, because here I am, just a kid. But anyway, the meal that I always like made when I just was like, you know what, I'm gonna cook something. I'm gonna cook myself something. I would make ramen and hot dogs. I shit you not. That was my meal. I would make ramen and hot dogs. So they would offer me for dinner and everything. I'd be like, no, I don't want to oppose. I'm going to go home and eat something. Well, the wife started to catch on. My manager's wife there, she was like, what do you want to eat? And I'm like, I don't know. I might steam up some vegetables, ground up some hamburgers. I'm going to have a burger or whatever. And, obviously getting close with the manager, I was telling him, like, really what I was eating and shit, and, like, what my life was like in my apartment, mind you. It was no bigger than a fucking closet. Like, I tell you, like Harry Potter's closet, it was a little bit bigger than that. Okay. And it wasn't like, and it was like, it used to be a porch at an old actually veterinarian clinic. And my apartment was half of a porch and like a little bit of like the actual building. But anyway, so he was like, no, you are not going to eat that. You're going to go home and you're going to probably cook up some ramen and hot dogs like you probably had all week long. I'm like, no, I'm going to actually make something. And so the wife was like, all right, yeah, you're staying for dinner. I'm like, well, what if I get a call? And she's like, it'll be here when you get back. You can come back and you can get it. It's not going to be an issue. And so that's just kind of like how things came to be. Oh, another big factor of how him and I actually did get close is that I started to hit shit like pretty bad, that I couldn't quite figure out that I had extra freaking tailspin when I would go turn on with the truck. Mind you, it's a flatbed, a rollback, whatever you know it for. It's the one with the flatbed that, slides out, tilts up, and for transporting the vehicles. That's how that goes. So, I think at one point I hit a Jeep Grand Cherokee. So anytime that a call came through for another Jeep Grand Cherokee, the joke was, oof, I don't know if we should send Quinny on that one. He might hit it. He may total it. I don't know. Did you call to see if they have insurance just to make sure, full coverage just in case? So that became a joke for quite some time. And then I hit a basketball hoop in a driveway. And then another thing was a mysterious item that we have no idea what happened. Nobody's called, emailed, walked in, no video. We like at this point, all of us would love to see a video of what happened or some sort of story. But anyway, the tail light on the back of the tow truck was basically just a bar attached to the frame. So somehow, somewhere, I don't even know, that I clipped something, but it wasn't too hard to really leave a mark or to break the back plasticking that was around the backside to hide the wiring and everything. So we have no idea what I did hit or any kind of proof other than the fact that the taillight was bent back 45 degrees. So I got spoken to, and then I was on probation for driving, so then I had to ride with the manager, and he had to literally teach me how to drive. So, yeah, I annoyed him for a good part of that, and, it was part of his punishment for hiring me, and, whatever, and it was my punishment for not driving and everything, so I would say by the end of that week is when our friendship started to build and grow and everything, and we actually established something, and then just as months and years went on, it just got closer, and we just became a family, and I view him as an older brother. And there's a lot of crazy stories and incidents that has happened between the two of us, and those will be told at a later date, and I'm not entirely sure if I'll ever I may do a show or two with him, and actually he does have some pretty good inputs on shit that I've done and everything. So, but I tell you what, there are some good stories and everything, but I don't want to drag that part on. And those will be for further episodes, and hopefully I can convince him to open his mouth and put his voice out there with me, because we do have some excellent stories, and I have some excellent stories of my own time for my own jobs and everything. But one big thing that he did teach me and drilled into my head is that the only stupid question that you ask is the ones that you don't ask. Oh, wait, no. The only stupid question that there is are the ones that you don't ask. Anyway, the only stupid question that there is the ones that you don't ask. So I was like, okay, I'm going to ask questions on everything, because I want to make sure that I'm taking care of these people's vehicles and everything, and I'm treating them like how we were taught, that treat every vehicle that you touch as if it's the owner of the company's brand new truck, which his truck was valued at $100,000, and I'm like, yeah, I don't have that kind of money, so I don't really want to do that, and I like this job and I want to keep it. But unless the vehicle was totaled, then it was a different story. If it was fucked up, totaled, that didn't matter. But say you're just pulling down the highway, then all of a sudden, car breaks down. You're no longer going vroom vroom. So you pull over, I go to pick it up. That's when I treat it like it's the best. So I don't want to mess up anyone's vehicles and everything like that. But again, we're going to save those for some other episodes. But the whole point of this episode was the fact of the day that my life changed as a young adult and became more of a man. I mean, fuck it. I'm not even... You can even ask my girlfriend. She probably wouldn't even say that I'm a man. Although she probably would argue and be like, yeah, you are. Honestly, I'm still a child at heart that just grew up, and, as they say, men don't grow up. They're still kids, and their toys just get bigger and more expensive, and they do stupid shit, and they don't bounce back as much as they do when they're younger. Am I right, guys? I think so. But that whole the lie thing in the interviews, I'm not wrong on that, because let's be honest, it has to be the biggest lie, or experience in something for extended amount of time. You may only did a training course or a class or something in school of Excel, spreadsheets, all that shit or whatever, and they're like, oh yeah, what's your experience with this? Oh yeah, years did it pretty well and everything, I got really trained, even though you probably just took a class in school or just goofed around online and watched YouTube tutorials or something along those lines. But I just, that's the biggest, and I always go back to that day, because ever since then they have definitely made sure to ask about that question, and have asked to actually look at people's vehicles to make sure that They were, in fact, reliable. And actually, as through the years went on, I became, quote unquote, the poster boy for that company. And they even to this day, the manager uses me as a reference for in trainings and shit like that. It's like, listen, I had an operator who asked all of these stupid questions. So if you think you have a stupid question, you're wrong. I probably heard it at least a half a dozen times from this one operator, and then some more. So you think it's stupid or a crazy question? Yeah, okay. And I've even tried to convince the owner, like, when you hire new people or whatever, have me come in just for a little, freaking Q&A meeting with them, being like, so, you think you got some questions? All right, let me hear them. Let me see if I can top your questions. That's what I thought. I'd always have these crazy thoughts and questions and everything, like just the craziest, stupidest fucking things ever that would just pop into my head day in and day out. Of the fact of like, okay, so you're driving down the road, and all of a sudden a bug hits your windshield. Okay, nothing to you really, it might scare you just for be like, oh, okay, just hit a bug. Okay, whatever. So you throw on your freaking windshield washer spray. You wipe it off and everything, and hope to God you got it off. If not, you're pulling into a gas station to use their freaking dirty ass freaking squeegees that they haven't changed the water in for fucking since fucking Jesus changed water to wine. Water to wine? He did that. He did that, right? I don't fucking know. Anyway, but I've always had thoughts along the lines of like, what was that bug thinking prior to it making contact with the windshield? Like, was it just, floating along like, oh, having a good day and everything, oh. And all of a sudden, they're on this, like, clear, invisible force field that they can't move. They're like, oh, what the fuck's going on? What's going on? Am I going to die? Am I going to make it? What the hell's going on? What's going on? What's going on? God. Then they get sprayed with this burning chemical that could smell good, could smell bad to them. Don't really know. And then all of a sudden, this giant, big, black, fucking, long blade thing is just coming right at you, and you have no idea what the fuck is going on. And then all of a sudden, you're just dead, gone. Not a care in the world, dead. Family wouldn't even know if you made it back home or anything, See, those are crazy thoughts and everything that I've had, and actually have, asked and talked to my manager about and everything, and it's kind of how it came to be, of the fact of me being the poster boy for the company. But, man, a lot of good memories, a lot of good stories too. But going to save those. Going to definitely save those for other episodes and everything. I don't want to drag this on for too long. First episode, get my voice out there and everything. I don't even know if this is going to go up, to be honest with you. I have no fucking clue. I don't know. I really did have a hard time just sitting down and actually starting to record this and actually talk about my first day, as I thought, as a man, and figuring out my life and not really knowing what to do. But my girlfriend, a big supporter. She told me that go do it. Just go do it. Record it. Just do it. Record it. Don't even think about it. Just upload it. Don't edit it. Don't do nothing. And I'm like, I don't know, But I don't know. I went back and forth too much on this to figure out really where this is going. But so the whole lie thing, that's what really started this, wasn't it? I got off track. Was it? Yeah, it was the reliable vehicle thing, yeah. I mean, let's be honest. How many of you, in a job interview, they go, your vehicle reliable? And you go, oh, shit, yeah, she fucking goes just fine, from A to B, no issues. I go and I hop in, and all I have to do is just stroke the dash, be like, oh, baby, just turn on for me, and then you're good to go. Be honest, how many of you have lied about that? I truly want to know the numbers out there of the fact of how many have actually lied about that. There's got to be quite a bit, to be honest. I'm almost out of beer. I might need another can. Or may end the episode here. Not entirely sure. Let's see. Let's see. Yeah, disorganized, right? Yeah, that's definitely how this goes. All right, yeah. So first episode, just made some bullet points, just trying to keep myself on track, which that totally worked, didn't it? Yeah, talking about the start of my adult life, about the vehicle, explaining all of that. Yeah, how that all happened. Yep. Okay, yep. The questions and okay, and yep. Yeah, that was 2019, March 27th. I remember that day very clearly. Just only 19 for a month, if that. Yeah. When's my birthday? Yeah. Yeah, only been 19 for a month and trying to do a man's job. Oh boy. Yeah, those first few months they were pretty rough. They were. Well, that's the end of that beer, and I didn't bring in another one, so. But I'm very curious to know on that white. It's not even a white lie, there, dumbass. You even said at the beginning that it's an actual legitimate lie. But anyway, this has been Unfiltered Beer Tales. I am your host, Quentin, and let me know. Tell me, how many of you have lied in a job interview of any kind of question, just like exaggerating the truth? Like, even if they've asked you, just like, okay, it says here that you have 3 years of experience in spreadsheets and Office and all this and that. What is the actual truth behind it? Was it actually 3 years, or was it like a little over a year, but you did odds and ends here and like did stuff at home that you quote unquote qualified as office work and working with that stuff and just doing at home spreadsheets for like budgeting or Word documents just for making like grocery lists and everything else like that? Like, be honest. Like definitely let me know. Yeah, let me know. I'm gonna try to figure out how you guys can let me know stuff. Gonna have to. I don't know. We'll figure it out. This is all a learning thing for me. This is all new, and I'm definitely gonna. Yep. Well, that's the end of this. Again, this is Unfiltered Beer Tales. I am your host, Quentin, and we'll see you in the next one.